Clerics, Paladins, and Warlocks, the sometimes Holy Trinity in D&D. They are an awesome group, and they have one aspect about them that I really like, and that's how they're all tied together and tied to the world. Because I like all my characters, they have a unique story behind them that actually ties them to the world. I didn't want them just spawn out of the ether and just be a character that's there to stab people, get gold, yada yada yada. But them, they all have that tie where they can be tied to a religious order, a deity, some big, powerful being in that world, something like that. And that I like. It gives a lot of story building potential between you, NPCs, the party, all sorts of things. That I like. It sets you up a lot when it comes to story-wise, just starting out. And also, they could be tied to big figures, whether it's in actual mythology, the world's mythology, some of the multi-books, all different mythologies where I could use to play in your Forgotten Realms game. Your D&D game, clearly. We all play in different worlds other than Forgotten Realms, right? Are you kidding me? They recreated the Raven Queen just to add her to Forgotten Realms? Why? That being said, that also brings up one of my least favorite parts of D&D, and that is someone who does not utilize all them options that they possibly have at their disposal, whether it's a DM or a player. You mean to tell me that someone who dedicated their entire life to one ideal, philosophy, order, religion, just some person, that wouldn't affect them at all? That wouldn't affect how they roleplay, what they do when they go to town, what they do in their daily routine, what they do when it comes to certain beings or forces that may be opposed to their deity? That wouldn't affect them at all? I mean, to be a warlock, a paladin, or a cleric in D&D, you didn't just get one of these bad boys as a kid, you instantly gained a level, you just gained magic, and that's the end of it. There's a lot more to it. Because even warlocks, they more than likely had a big life-altering event that got them to the point they're at. Unless they were just spawned out of the ether, I was saying earlier, something happened to them that made them into what they are now. Clerics and Paladins, you're not really just your average Blackwater preacher, or in the Paladin's case, you faster works out way too much and lives by the iron sharpens iron Bible verse. You were someone who stood out so much amongst your faith that your extreme faith and devotion was seen and noticed by your deity to the point they realized you deserve a fraction of their power. That's how you got to be the point to where you are. So, yes, you have the power of God and anime on your side. Though now that I say it out loud, I think the idea of a backwoods preacher would actually be a pretty funny D&D character. There seems to be a bunch of goblins causing quite a commotion uptown, so I'm going to be gathering a posse together to go smite some sense to those old boys. Y'all in? With all that being said, you would think a deity would be very cautious on who they actually give their power to, who's actually going out there with that power, with their holy symbol, enacting deeds in their name, possibly making the whole religion look better or worse.
Yeah! I have the power of God!
And also it even says in the book that clerics and paladins in particular stand out amongst their people. In particular, for paladins it says very few on the battlefield can claim to be a full-on fighter, and even fewer can be a paladin. That's how rare they are. So you're going to think you're going to have to be a very devout follower to even be to that point, because your deity isn't just going to be down for every craziness bit you do. Or maybe they are, you edgelord. Oh, speaking of edgelords, the Warlock. Now, the Warlock, they have a little bit looser when it comes to it, because it's not going to be a conventional deity all the time they get their power from. It can be someone of lesser power, but still a lot of power. But with the more limited power, you also got to think, they're really not going to just give their power to somebody and forget about it. Because, the most consistent thing among pack lords is they all want something. And of course, that thing could also be helped accomplished by a minion. No, I'm sorry. A follower. Obviously, with each patron, it's going to be different, but I do believe there's only one exception where it's blatantly like they may have gave it the power to them and just completely forgot about it, or they could not even be aware that they gave it to them. And that is the great old one, where it could just be a freak thing, like you're reading a book and learn some forbidden knowledge or something. Or you got your powers like this.
I was once visited by an alien species. They referred to me as... I've never been able to unhear or unsee that.
So that's what really unifies the three. All three of them gain their powers from someone else or something else, and that thing probably wants something, and has a little bit of leverage on them with the thing being in common, all their powers come from something else. So they're going to probably make requests of their follower that just happens to be a very powerful being amongst mortal people. I've used this metaphor before, but generally a commoner in D&D has 4 hit points. So that means an actual player character could throw a rock at an NPC and more than likely they would die. That being said, I will now explain what the difference makes with math. So, an average character can handle 1 rock. With that being said, a wizard will have at least the lowest of a 6 health with a d6 of health. That means an average wizard can take 1.5 rocks. And that means an other character can probably take 2 to 3 rocks. Even 4 rocks if they're a barbarian. So, that being said, the final math equals barbarian equal 4 rock. And with my undeniable math and logic, you cannot deny that they are strong! That was an overcomplicated way of explaining your character's really strong, and more than likely a big, rare thing amongst all their followers. So, they're going to want to take advantage of the fact they have someone like that at their disposal that could be a big help to them. Whether it's hatching some evil scheme, defeating the big bad, making a crusade, just whatever it is, they want something, and they have someone that could possibly help them do it. So they're probably going to encourage them to do it. And if you're sitting there like, no, they would never do that. Not my person. You were clearly not the person who got their first car in the friend group. All that being said, go forth, have great adventures, and just keep all this in consideration. Obviously, this goes from person to person. If you're not into that, you don't have to be into that. I just think you could be missing out some great storytelling opportunities there. And I just want people to think about their characters. They didn't just pop out of the ether and they're born to stab goblins and get gold. There's more to it than that. There's a longer journey. There's friends to be made, other things to do. It's just something I'd like people to consider when it comes to their characters is what ties them to this world. What did they do in this world before they were an adventurer? And unless, of course, you're just got the apathetic Warlock patron who doesn't do anything. He isn't there to make you do things. Oh no, there he is. He has so many tentacles and eyes. Oh, so horrid. No.
Oh, yes. Pale blood. Well, you've come to the right place.
Well, that's the end of this one, guys. If you liked it, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. You have an interesting Warlock or Paladin Cleric story. Let me know, or how your player handles them. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Bye.